With ballots set to go out to many Montana voters this week, the campaign over marijuana legalization in the state is continuing to heat up. MTN's Jonathan Ambarian reports on new groups that are getting involved and on the money that is being spent.
In Helena Monday, several conservation organizations gathered to throw their support behind a proposal to legalize recreational marijuana in Montana. They pointed to the revenues it could raise for public lands.
Funding our public lands owned by the state of Montana. Places like this, these are the treasures of the treasure state. These votes are votes for those public lands.
Representatives from Montana Conservation Voters, the Montana Wildlife Federation, Wild Montana Action Fund, and the Trust for Public Land backed Initiative 190 and Constitutional Initiative 118 during an event at Spring Meadow Lake. I-190 would set up a regulated marijuana system, including a 20% tax on sales. CI-118 would let the state limit sales to those 21 and older. The measures would set aside nearly half of the marijuana tax revenue for public lands programs, primarily for improving wildlife habitat, but also for things like state parks and trails. Overall, a state analysis estimates Fish, Wildlife, and Parks could receive $19 million a year by 2025. Aaron Murphy of Montana Conservation Voters said the country is moving towards a more accepting view of marijuana.
So we see this as an opportunity that's coming our way no matter what. So we'd rather get ahead of it and make sure that our public lands get the funding from that they deserve.
Leaders with Wrong for Montana, a committee opposing the legalization effort, say they believe there would be negative impacts to making marijuana more available that wouldn't justify the extra revenue.
I don't see why we want to get an extra $25 million in our state coffers by addicting 110,000 Montanans to marijuana. That sounds crazy to me.
According to recently filed financial documents, New Approach Montana, the group behind the legalization initiatives, raised another $1.8 million in the last month. Much of that funding came from a national group called the North Fund, which has given nearly $5 million to the effort. Wrong for Montana filed finance documents for its first month. It brought in just over $78,000, including from groups like the Montana Family Foundation and Montana Contractors Association. It has spent much of that on billboards and digital ads. And Montanans can expect to see more about these initiatives in the coming weeks. New Approach Montana has already spent several $1 million reserving TV ad time for the month of October. In Helena, Jonathan Ambarian, MTN News.
Ballots are set to be mailed to voters in most Montana counties on Friday.